Welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the other type of data, which is Booleans. So what is Boolean? A Boolean value is simply something that is either true or false. Let me give you an example. If here we have, I create a variable that is called JavaScript cool is equal to true. And then I just call my variable and there you go. So the value is true. What would you need something like this? Well, imagine that you have a website and in that website, you have this menu on the left side. You also, in your database, you have different type of groups. Let's assume that we are using students. And this website is for students and professors. So you need to validate the user input. For example, if the user come to your website and they try to log in, you need to identify if it's students or professor. So once you get that value back, you can say, well, if it's a student, do not show this link, or if it's a professor, do not show this link. And you get the value back and you validate it and you will like, okay, well, it is a student, and you write like some kind of query, and that query can return something that is true or false. In other words, if you have an if statement and you ask if this is true, if it is a student or if it is a professor, you can hide or show this link here. Basically, that's what it is. You use that just to make sure that something is true or false. But not only for that, because let's say that you are creating a video game, and in the video game, you keeping track of how many life the character has. And then you feel like, okay, you need to count this. And let me go back to this. And you have something here that is say, for example, a while loop. And then this while loop, this is true. And then inside this while loop, you can do something. And at the end of the while loop, while this is true, and then this is true can become false at some point for whatever reason. And you keep track of the variable and like this, something like that. The thing is that there is not a specific example for this. It's just up to you, up to how you create your website and the value you try to do. I do use it a lot to write some queries and make the queries to return true or false. And if the student qualify for something, I show them the link. For example, I can write a query that say, if the student has a GPA of 3.0 and the student has more than 90 credit, then show this form. And then if that return true, if it's all both are true, it means that it will be true, and then I will show them the form. Okay, so let's keep going. Here we have three logical operators, which is and, or, and not. Let's start with the and. How do you write the and? Just doing this double character, which is also called ampersand, I think it is. Anyway, this is the name of this character here. And we use those two characters in order for to return something if it's true or false. So what is so special about this one? If only if both things are true, it will return true. Okay? For example, if I have bar 1 is equal to 1, and I also have bar 2 is equal to 2, and then I say if 1 is equal to 1 and 2 is equal, you know what, I need another equal, is equal to 2, like this, I want to console something. And by the way, when I say console.log, I mean like I'm printing something, okay? So I will say this is true. If not, and else, I will console this is false. So if I come here and then I run this, what did I do wrong? If 1 is equal to 1 and 2 is equal to 2, cache unexpected token else. Oh, there you go. I didn't close my if statement here. There you go. But you see what I'm saying about JavaScript? They will not tell you specific. They were like, oh yeah, something happened in the else. But I'm like, okay, what's going on? And there you go. I was missing this thing here. So there you go. So this is true. But because both conditions are true, if I do this and I don't know if you guys can see this. Yeah, you probably see this. Then, and I'm asking, is 1 is equal to 1 and 2 is equal to 3? And of course, I will get this is false because one of those two is not true. And how do you know it's not true? Because here I declare that 2 is equal to 2, not equal to 3. Okay, so this is here is true, of course, because I declare like this, but this is false right here. So it's telling, hey, one of the conditions is not true, therefore I will return false. Let's go with the other one. With the or is a little bit different. Let me just clean this. Because for or, you just need something that is true. Only one condition needs to be true, okay? Not both. So here, if I say, 1 is equal to 1 and 2 is equal to 3, and I run this query, I will get true just because one of those things are true. This is true right here. 1 is equal to 1 is true, but not 2 is equal to 3 is true. Therefore, it is true. So that's the difference between the and the or. One, they need both conditions to be true. And the other one, they need only one of those conditions to be true. However, if both conditions are false, for example, if it's 1 equal 5, which is not, and 2 is equal 3, which is not, because remember, we declared those two variables before, then it will say false because both conditions are false. Now, I will go with a not. So the not, it means like basically that you can change the value of something. For example, I have this example here. I will just copy the example here. And then I will say is weekend, then that's going to be equal to true. And then need to shower today is not equal to true, which means it's false. So how does this work? Let me show you something really quick. I'm just going to go ahead and call this variable again. Do you see that? So here I'm saying that is weekend is equal to true. But here I'm using is weekend. However, I'm adding this this character here, which is mean that it's not. So here I'm saying, well, it is not a weekend, so it means that it's false. And I get the result back false. So you probably might be asking, like, I know someone would be like, all right, so what you just don't declare this thing to false, so like, why you need to come here and say do this and not do this? So the thing is, when you are writing a programming, when you are writing any software, any program, you don't want to create variable for everything, so you just at least want to manipulate something. If, for example, you are playing something and you're creating a game or something like that, and you need to change the value of that variable, that will be annoying if you keep changing the value from true to false, or if you just come here and create a new variable every time you need to say that this is not true. In other words, it is better just to use this here and not just to like create a variable for everything, or just change the value of that variable. For example, here, if you want this to become false, of course, you can just come here and say become false. And of course, if I call need to shower, it will be false anyway. See that? So that's the thing that you need to just, if you follow this, it will be much better than come here and change the value of the variable every time to true or false. All right, comparing numbers with booleans. One thing about this is that I'm assuming that you know at least basic math. So when we say the word greater than that and less than that, I believe that you guys probably know this. Anyway, I'm gonna do a simple sample. Like for example, if it's 1 less than 2, then it will say true because this is less than 2. Or if you say is true greater than 4, it will return false because true, it is not greater than false, it is less than 4. So basically, this greater than that and less than that is, it is what it is. Just simple math stuff. But here in the equal, I have a variable that is called 1, and this is equal to 1. And then I have another variable that is called, and the 1, I just want to say string 1, so you guys can understand what I'm trying to do here. Okay. And then I'm going to create another variable that is going to call it number 1. As you can see, I create a string, which is 1, and this is a number, which is 1. Okay. So if you start thinking about it, is this equal to this one? Think about it. And of course, not really, just because this is a character right now. This is not a number. What do I mean by character? Well, if I try to add those two things, okay, and I try to do number 1, look, I got 11, but it is 1 plus number, it is string 1 plus number 1 equal to 11. No, right? I mean, of course it is equal to 11 because I'm adding this number to the string, which they become ones, okay? They are not the same. And of course, 1 plus 1 is not 11. If I come here and I say, if, let me see, string 1 is equal to number 1. And look what I got. It's saying that it's true that a string 1, it is equal to 1. However, we both know that this is a string, L character, and this is a number. Therefore, they are not the same because you cannot operate basic math. Do you see that what's happening when you're trying to do a string 1 plus number 1? You got 11. And you should get at least 2, not 11. So where the triple equals come in? Well, there you go. If we come here and then say, and by the way, here on the double equal, JavaScript, what it's trying to do is trying to change the type to compare both. Like for example, here, this might be type string and this might be type string, but they are both 1. Therefore, JavaScript is saying, yeah, they are the same. However, if you make sure that you put triple equal, it will say false because now JavaScript will say, all right, so let me see what type of variable it is. Let me see what type of value it is. Oh, well, string 1 is a string and number 1 is an integer. Therefore, since they don't have the same data type, I don't care about the value yet. They are not the same. But assuming that they are the same data type, for example, think about it. This is number 2, right? And this is another number, but number 3, it will say, well, you are the same data type, but you are not the same. So then you will definitely get false. Here, as you can see, we got true just using those two double equal, and we got false using the triple equal, which is this is the correct answer right here. However, if you're trying to do something like this, imagine that you are, you creating a program, okay? And that program, you using the number 1 is equal to 1, okay? And you want to do some math here. Plus 3. And you have, I'm just gonna use a whole bunch of if statement. And then you have this. You know what? Let me use a regular number. Now I'm using this. Okay. Yeah. I'm using string. Like this. And then I want to use a string 1. And then use a string 1. So if you are trying to do some, if you're trying to write some code, but you want to depend on the value, depends on the, you want to use the variable as well, like we're doing here. And this is gonna be like true right now. If you run this is gonna be true. If you be like, okay, but however, since you are trying to do some math here, I think that you don't want this to be true, okay? And therefore, what you have to do is, and by the way, if what I'm trying to say is like to be true, I'm saying like, for example, you're trying to do some math, and this is 1, but this is a string 1 is equal to 1, and since you say string 1 is equal to string 1 plus 3, here you're gonna get 13, which is not correct because you're trying to add 1 plus 3, which would be 4. However, because this is gonna be true, and remember, an if statement means that if something is equal to something, come inside and do whatever and do whatever you're supposed to do. Since this is gonna be true, but you don't want to be true, it's gonna come here, and then you're gonna get a value back, but you will get the wrong answer. And what you have to do to make sure that this is those, just to make sure that you are safe. And by the way, I'm assuming here that you make a mistake. I'm assuming here that you didn't type this. I'm assuming here that you just, writing your code and feel like I'm just writing something. I'm in a hurry. I want to make sure that I want to write it out, and you make a mistake. So this one could go and you will get inside this if statement, but you don't want to be inside this if statement because now you're going to have 13 instead of 4. So to be safe, you need to do this. You need to make sure you use all the time, you use triple equal just to be safe. Okay. And remember that also you can write like we learned here. Where is it? Let's see. Now the math. What is the math? What is the math? There you go. I'm missing. What is it? Oh wow. There you go. So as we use here, you remember guys that you can write this like that. You can just say plus equal 3, and you are doing the same thing that we just did right now. Just want you to remind you that that's not a big deal. Anyway, so that's all for this lesson. Just keep in mind, always, all the time, use this to be safe, just in case. Okay, and yeah, Let's see. What else? Yeah, pretty much that. I will see you in the next lesson when we're gonna be talking about array, which is a very interesting topic. Okay, I will see you in the next lesson.